that everyone can see my screen because I'm sharing something at the moment. Can you see my screen?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Let me fix that. How about now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right then. Thank you very much again for joining, guys. And firstly, I welcome everyone, to this little webinar. And just as Ewitola had explained, it's organized by 𝗙𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗊, HCM 𝗙𝗂𝗁𝗂 Lagos, and which is basically just an organization, a global organization actually, and a branch of HCM 𝗙𝗂𝗁𝗂 in Lagos. And 𝗙𝗂𝗁𝗂 basically, we're people who are into user experience, anything that has to do with humans and technology interacting together. So we do a lot of research, a lot of designing, we do a lot of learning and teaching as well. So thank you very much for joining in. And before we dive in, actually, though, I would also like to know everyone in this team. So what I will have us do, so we can have it interactive a little bit, I will need us to type our names. Okay, your names are here already, but just type what you are into. So if you are like a UX person, type UX. If you're like an aspiring designer, type aspiring. And if you're just here for the, for the vibe, you can type vibe or type curious. You just want to be sure that people are, here. Okay, we have Balaji who says the product designer and web developer. That's quite nice. And who else? Aspiring software engineer. Okay. Designer, engineers. Good. Mobile developer. So to be honest, I'm really glad that we have people who are kind of in the system already. So it's going to be easier for you guys to understand me better. And even if you're like an aspirant, it's still, you'll still find this very relatable, hopefully. So I'm glad to have you here once again, and thank you for joining. All right, so we're talking about the future of HCI in Africa, challenges and opportunities. One thing I know is that, topics like this, they might get boring. So what I've tried to do is to put up something that I feel is going to be very interactive for all of us. And okay, that's good to hear, Miriam and Ajami. And so what I know, like topics like this, they might be boring to take. So what I've done is I've tried to make it a discussion format instead. And while doing that, it's still going to be like a way for us to learn. And I believe that by the end of this, this whole thing, we'll either go out with ideas or a better understanding of what HCI is and where Africa stands, in terms of human computer interaction. So we did the introduction already, and we already dropped, if you're like a UX person or an engineer or you're just aspiring. So it's really great to see that we have a mix of professionals, yeah. And so what is human computer interaction, the whole HCI thingy? With the basics, HCI is just about how humans interact with technology. So it goes deeper than just that definition. It's the reason why some apps, when you're using an application, you feel very happy using the application. You feel it's very intuitive. And in some cases, you could be using an application and you feel it's very frustrating to use. Examples would be the banking apps or some government websites when you want to do some registration. So, and I know that when you hear the term human computer interaction, the kind of image that comes to mind is this person, doing all this classy thingy, and that's an example of what I have here. But in reality, it's not. It's basically what we have around us. You joining this meeting via Google Meets is basically human computer interaction. You know, the way you were able to see that, hey, there is an event happening somewhere, and now you've decided to join the link, it's human computer interaction. All of this have been able to happen via HCI, via this means of humans interacting with technology. So other examples would be the ATMs we use at home. If you want to go a step higher, the AR and VR glasses that we all have around. The situation when you want to log into your app and then it says, oh, you have to go to your email to enter a code. All these systems in place, the user experience, the things you feel, the context, that is what HCI is trying to cover basically. Even, up to the fact where, when you have a Facebook message and you open your app gallery, you see this little notch of red, around, and you're like, okay, I have a Facebook message. That's communication. So HCI covers all of this and more. So it's not just something abstract. It's something, contextual. It's something very easy to interact with. So I was going to ask us what products we have failed, what app we've used that we felt really understood us, but then I think I would just leave that for later. Now let us talk about HCI in Africa, that we are in. As a matter of fact, if you take a glance at the landscape of human computer interaction in Africa, you would see that we're actually growing. We've been able to move from traditional ways of doing things to more digital means of doing things, right? We used to be like this, we used to go to banks before for any little issue, but now we can easily, interact with customer service, representatives via our mobile phones, right? So we can really see that, yeah, HCI actually in Africa has been growing, and you can just, and, thanks to our mobile first culture, and this strong innovation that we have, there's a lot of untapped market potential. But then there are some issues, as we all might know. The same Africa that has these technologies growing up, this same Africa has a very low digital literacy in some aspects. Then there are accessibility gaps as well. If someone is able to use the technology, we have those who aren't able to use that technology due to reasons beyond their control, maybe due to being disabled or due to being blind, so they can't use the same app that you are using. So those are accessibility gaps, and there are people too, right? So, and they have to be catered for regardless. And then another issue we have is the infrastructure limitations. That's like the electricity is very bad. We have this news of national grid falling off. So we have all of these issues that are kind of indirectly or directly affecting how HCI is taking shape, in Africa as a continent. And but we have some unique advantages regardless. If you look at everyone here, we kind of have this mobile first culture. That's like our mobile phones, everything we kind of like get information from our phones almost every day. Then we have this, community-driven innovation, that people can, with community in Nigeria or in Africa, we can do basically anything. And then there is also this, and this gives us this market potential that has been untapped, left to me. So it's a balance of good and bad in Africa when it comes to HCI. Up next, I think one success of HCI, like I kind of said this initially, one success of HCI or one HCI success story is how we all used to go to banks for the littlest of transactions. Maybe we just have, a little issue with our money not delivering, or we just want to send some money to someone. We all used to go to bank, clear tellers and, pay the cashier. But all of these things have now been digitized thanks to, human computer interaction. So I would say we are making progress. Now that brings me to a question. Based on what I've said and based on your personal experience as Nigerians in Africa, or as Africans rather, where do you think Africa stands in terms of HCI adoption? Do you think we are ahead? Do you think we are behind? Or do you think we're just starting? So I want you to just start ahead if you think we are ahead. Type behind if you think we're behind, or tap starting in the chat. Just to be sure that I'm still carrying you guys along. Starting. Okay, it's okay. Most of us feel that Africa is just starting out, and I understand. Oh, someone thinks we're behind. Okay, we'll see if we're behind or not as I move on. But yeah, thank you very much for that little engagement there. It kind of keeps me going, and it makes me happy that people are listening to what I'm saying. Now, let's look at the challenges, basically, because when you want to talk about the future of something, you need to look at the present and the retrospective aspect of it. In Africa, we have digital accessibility as a challenge, because many Africans, let's even start from our parents or our old grannies at home, they still use low-end devices. Yeah, I think this is one good point here. Says we are not just starting out, but we are still ahead if you compare to some other countries. I think that's a very good point as well. I wouldn't really argue that. Yeah, so I said in Africa, we have a lot of us that are still using low-end devices or have limited internet access, which is one very, very crucial problem right now. And fine, technologies will be available. Technologies are being built. A lot of apps are being, coming up. People are building innovations. People are like coming up with startup ideas. But that piece of technology, which is going to make all these ideas, all this innovation accessible to everyone, is our mobile phone. But we have people who are like still using low-end devices. That's one challenge. And then even if we have the device, there is still like limited internet access in the country. All right. And one other thing is the cultural context, which I kind of agree with this one as well, because most global design principles don't consider local languages, behaviors, or financial systems. I'm going to give you an example of this. Okay, if you, let's say you want to like, okay, let us just look at ChatGPT, for example. It's like an AI, chatting system. Or let us look at this system of customer care representatives. Fine, it's a very good innovation, right? That okay, you can just pull out your phone, and when you have an issue, you can text, and then you get it solved instantly. But when you look at the makeup of some Nigerians or a segment of Nigerians, if you, let's say the adults, for example, they actually want to see someone help them. They want to feel someone help them. They wouldn't really trust, technologies the way the younger segment of Nigerians would trust technologies, right? But then you still, but I don't really think that these banks or these apps provide alternative customer care, services that can cater for this kind of people, right? So it's a global design practice. It's a standard that Europe is using. That okay, everyone can use customer services via the mobile phone. But does it really cater for all the segments of people we have in Nigeria? The old people, for example, it doesn't, right? So that's also a challenge, because we are very used to importing principles, importing standards, and slapping them on on the people in our country. Meanwhile, there's a lot of cultural differences that we still need to take in place. Now, there is also a limited HCI education, and which is kind of linked to the second example, is that even we designers, we technology designers, we developers, we learn from foreign content, right? Meanwhile, the people we are designing for actually behave differently. They interact with technology in a very different manner. So these are the challenges in Africa, and regardless of that, though, we know that challenges still bring opportunities. So how can we solve these challenges that I've just listed? But before I go there, let us look at real quotes from real life experiences. According to 21st Century Chronicle, which is a news system in Nigeria, it says over 60% of complaints come from banks customers. Over 60% of complaints from bank customers hover around failed transaction. which causes pain, frustration, and agony for many customers. I think this is basically related to when you make a transfer of money and someone doesn't get it, or your money gets debited, and you don't even know your money is hanging somewhere in the air. Another quote is from Mr. Shola, who is an artisan. He says, "Digital banking services are not too good at this time. My experience in my bank has affected my business negatively, especially since online banking services are very poor. One can't do a transfer to customers due to network failure," right? So, and this just kind of buttresses the point where I said, fine, technologies are there, but there are some external factors, there are some cultural factors that aren't really making these technologies very enjoyable, very accessible. And these are like, real life proofs to it. But what would be the challenges? How would we solve some of these challenges? One is going to have to be inclusive design, which is that building apps that maybe work on low bandwidth networks and older devices. So instead of forcing people to have to install applications, have to download large megabytes of an application, you could rather just build something that is very localized, or something that is very light enough for anyone to use. So you are not just building an app that solves a problem. You're building an app that solves the problem and also is friendly to the kind of audience you're building an application for, right? So of course there could be many examples and instances and and variations of this, but then it all comes under inclusive design. Another one is going to be localized research. That's understand how African users think and behave, right? I gave the example of we wanting or our older ones wanting the presence of a human when they need to deal with anything that has to do with finances, right? But at the moment, most of the applications right now we have lack this. But if research is localized, you understand how the locals behave, you understand what they want, then we'll be able to design technology that kind of cater for this kind of people better, and not just tech that isn't friendly to everyone. Right, then also we should also try to bridge the knowledge gap. That is like more African-led UX research. I think that's already in place at the moment, and that is one of what 𝗙𝗵𝗹𝗶𝗁𝘀 is trying to do in Nigeria. So mentorships and open source resources, so that these developers, these product designers, these UX researchers that are or startup owners that are building technology, they need to be thought, or they need to be aware that, hey, build technologies, but build something that your local humans can interact with. So basically, these are like the challenges, or the problems or the solutions that are in our control. Of course, there are some solutions like, okay, make internet better, make network bandwidth better, but they aren't really something that we can say we have control over, because it's more of political or just natural, which we can't really do anything about, except the people in the higher cadets who want to do something about it. But regardless, on our level, as practitioners, as technology consumers, as solution providers, and name it, we can actually control these solutions and try, and practicing that is going to kind of help us solve these challenges that I've just mentioned previously. Fine. So having learned that, what's the future like for us? AI-driven customer service and chatbots will improve, local digital experiences. Perhaps maybe now that it's, AI, and AI is probably is getting intelligent every single time, every single day. We could maybe see that in future we will have better customer service and chatbot that are kind of like, more intelligent, and they probably understand humans better than we do, possibly. Then secondly would be, I'm sure we will have more interfaces for non-literate users. So the kind of people who can't really speak English, or who can't read the English that most apps are made of, what about voice-based interfaces for them? That they can basically just speak to the application, or make a voice command, and then it carries a task on their behalf, right? So we'll find education and retail that's like, online stores will adopt technologies like, AR and VR faster than expected. AR basically is like augmented reality. That is like imposing something virtual, like virtual image, into the physical realm of someone. So if, for example, I'm standing in my room right now and I maybe want to purchase a piece of, maybe I want to purchase maybe a coffee maker or something. I really do not know how big this coffee maker is going to be when I get to buy it. And I'm somebody who wants to shop online. Right? So the best way for me to actually know how it's going to look like in my kitchen or in my room is that I kind of try to impose it there virtually. And that's possible through the means of AR and virtual reality. So probably we'll also have this happening. Then most importantly is the indigenous tech innovation. That's like more African built design systems and frameworks tailored for us. Talk about the kind of icons we use when we design applications. The kind of symbols we use. We need symbols that are more African or that are, that we can relate more with, compared to what the Western uses. For example, if you try to compare China and Nigeria, for example, the color red in China means something good. It means something that you should be happy about or positive about. But for us Nigerians, color red kind of means danger or warning. And so fine, these are just little examples, but it's just a simple instance of how we can go how we can go into the details of what Africans are more what Africans are more familiar with, and these patterns, and use these patterns to design for Africans. So practically, that's what we have, and that will come to the end of this webinar. But then I would like us to do a little brainstorming. I've mentioned some ways we can solve challenges. So if you're able to, you can basically unmute your mic and let me know if you have any any solutions that you think we could also use to solve challenges in Africa in terms of HCI. You could just raise up your hand, and I will give us like 5 seconds for that. If I don't see anybody who raise up their hand, then I will just go to the next trivia. Yeah, Balaji Akongbe, can I have? Yeah, you can speak.
Okay, thank you. I'm really enjoying this. So basically, in terms of HCI, what I will say is that I've been seeing some products. One of them is OP, to say my grandma, she's 86 and she's using OP. So if I send money to her, she will check, she'll be like, oh, Bolaji Mutiri, I've seen the money. Like I don't know, she just told me that she has seen it, and she go to POS with her ATM to withdraw the money. So I think for her to understand, she didn't go to school, to say. So for her to understand to that level, I think we are building the product for like inclusive design part of it, and some localized research has been done based on like the products our people are shipping out. So that's what I want to add to the whole discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think, as a matter of fact, OPay banking is one of OPay is one of the startups or technologies in Nigeria that are getting it right. So I absolutely agree with that, and I can relate with you too. Because on a good day, if it were just how we used to do it before, when there was no digital banking, we would likely have sent them the money, and then I have to call them to inform them that, hey, grandma, I sent you this amount of money, have you seen it, something like that. But with these digital banks, with this I don't know what they have in place that is making old users being able to understand the application well, or maybe it's just notification, right? But then it's a good technology. It's a success story, when you compare it to how we used to do things before. So yeah, thank you very much for keeping that in. I don't see anyone else using up their hands. So in that case, I would just have us answer this question. If you could redesign any Nigerian app or websites to improve the user experience, which one would it be? Just type your answers in the chat and let's see which application needs better designers in this Nigeria. So I'm going to go again. If you have any app in Nigeria that you think needs a better redesign, okay, government agency platform is one thing. Personally, I have a very bad experience with with one of these government websites. Though I wouldn't even really bother mentioning it. But yeah, I think that's one place that we really still need to get things right. Lagos has kind of made made a milestone when they released this very nice website design. I can't remember the URL, but yeah, it's one thing that we are lacking in, and yeah, we need to focus, put more focus on it, and especially because governmental services, e-services, they are very, very important, and they kind of inform. They are things that everyone has concerns with. At a point, you will have to get a visa, you will have to get a passport, you will have to apply for a merit certificate, you have to, do something, but you can't do this yourself, and you rather have to rely on, maybe an agent or a computer service center to be able to get it done. And in the means, in the midst of doing this, there's a lot of data leakages that could happen. So indeed, I believe this is one. I think this even tops it all, even if you don't have any other examples. So yeah, thank you very much for that input, Ahmad Aliyu. Do we have any questions? And before I hand it over back to Witola, any questions about HCI, about even if it's just academics or research about HCI, or about the organization itself? Ahmed.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much for having me. I have a clear. So, you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hardly hear you, Ahmed. What did you say?
Okay, can you? Sorry. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay.
So you were
So,
saying,
thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I'm glad that yes, I am part of this conversation. Yeah, I'm happy we are focusing on it as a whole, a continent a whole, because okay, from the engineering aspect, when I hear HCI, I actually don't limit it just to the product design. That's the the UI UX aspect of it. I also look at hardware design as well, because it's part of the computing we use. So, but then in the African space, I don't see us prioritizing the distance very well, the hardware aspect of it that much than okay we the distance, the software aspect. Yes, we are getting it there, but then we need to also start thinking about the hardwares very well, so that we can be able to design very intuitive this thing. Especially, let's say okay, let's see how we start, or even thinking about the local maybe machines that we use, the local machines we use for our daily activities. How do we make it okay more user friendly, not more harmful than the for the users and all? So I think based on that, yes, if we can also start focusing on the hardwares as well, I think we can go a lot far ahead as well. Thank you.
yeah, that's cool. Does anyone have anything to say to that before I actually give my comment on it? All right. So do you have an example of a possible solution that could be computerized hardware with humans interacting. Do you have any possible examples that's in your head right now?
Yes, I can mention a few. You know how you go in and then just like there's this engines they use for grinding, normal local engines for grinding. You have to use physical this thing. You initiate the torque, I think, before it ons, for example. And sometimes when it misses your hand, maybe you may dislocate your hand or something, or you can decide to see how you can input maybe some this thing, some semiconductors, or they're about to make it more like, okay, you press and or push to on or something like that. All those machines that we use on a daily that requires us to physically use it, or maybe possibly on it. For example, there are listagens, those generators they use for welding in the distance, and in our local environments. If we can find a way to make it in such a way that the person doesn't need to use much power, maybe just with a button or with a flip, they can be able to on that. I think yes, we can go. Yeah, we are actually trying to solve problems for ourselves. So us focusing on these local environments, local tools that we are using to see how we can modernize it, make it easier for them, because the moment you make things easy, efficiency now kicks in, because that's the whole idea behind the whole this in HCI niche, to make things easy, to make things accessible and then usable for for consumers.
Oh, that was actually very, very insightful. And indeed, I think one flaw that I see in this whole HCI thing is that we tend to focus more on digital than hybrid or than physical. So, but you saying this is actually even eye-opening for me as well, because I'm also, one of those who have just thought, oh, it's all about software, it's all about digital. But indeed, there is a lot more to humans and technology than just, whatever we interact with on the computers, on the mobile phones. So yeah, it's a really, really good insight that you shared there. And I can only just hope that we as Nigerians, or we as technology designers, also look very well into the areas, see what traditional ways have our local people been using, and see how we can actually computerize these methods, and integrate it with HCI. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing that in, Ahmed. It's a very insightful one. Fine. It seems, do we have any questions? Any other questions? Anyone? Yeah, we get to you, Lua.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. So I think in Africa generally, like some of the examples that we mentioned, one of the key areas seems that we are getting it right is in the finance aspect. So, but how do we focus on other aspects also? Take for example, in terms of healthcare. Healthcare is very important to healthcare and other sectors, because finance is just a part of the whole broader ecosystem. So how do we transfer it to other sectors like healthcare, education, and so on and so forth?
Good question, actually. So, thankfully, I think one thing about HCI is that there's a lot of research that has been going on how we can improve healthcare, how we can improve finance, education, and other industries, with HCI, right? So there are existing principles, that are already working in place in other countries, as a matter of fact, and they've been able to come up with patterns, methods that work, working systems. So I think one method is just going to be copying. Now, copying, but this time when copying, localizing it as well. So you can bring in a technology system or technology idea, but do research on how it's going to help your people best, how it's going to be more friendly with your local audience, with the Nigerians, with the Africans, could be anybody from any African country, but with the nature of who your users truly are, right? So because there are a lot of technologies that work in the country where I'm in, for example, they have a means of they have this system where all your health records, everything you've done regarding your health, every medicine you've taken, every prescription of drug that you've bought, it is all in the system. So if you go meet another doctor for now, if you meet a doctor today and he prescribes something to you and you use it, 2 years later you go to another doctor, they will have access to everything that was previously prescribed to you. So that's a good system in place. So if I go to import something to Nigeria, right? Fine. Maybe there is a way that NIN or something equivalent here gives you access to such things, but yeah, they don't use NIN. In Nigeria, we use NIN. So localizing it would mean that we use our NIN to access such records instead. So it's basically just copying what other systems are, what successful systems have been done, then localizing it to fit our own, landscape in our country. So that's going to be my question, my answer to that question. I hope I kind of answered you satisfactorily. Yeah, Ahmed.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, am I allowed to add to what you have said? Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I've conducted some research a bit around this thing, other industries. Yeah, we are quite fortunate that yes, the finance industry is booming, because first we need to start seeing that okay, people no longer want to be going to the physical bank and wait for queues. So one of the solutions, one of the problems these fintechs have solved is that, okay. And then okay, we need to even start thinking about, I'm glad you mentioned about us copying international user experience, because we need to now even create awareness around all those products. So I think if we can now focus more on creating awareness about these products, because our people believe hard work pays. They always see you that okay, if you are doing maybe an easy work, maybe you are just in the room trying to use your laptop to make things happen, they feel you are lazy as well. So they always believe that you going out under the sun to actually achieve things. Or if you have made money without going under the sun, then okay, that money is somehow not like your sweat or something. So we need to even bring them the idea that okay, it's not every time that just hard works only pays, but then working smart as well pays. So if you can be able to make sure that yes, our awareness focuses more on that okay, they need to even start engaging this kind of products that we are building. It is to improve their own livelihood through efficient means. If we can be able to be doing that more around products instead of just marketing it to the urban area, why not okay, let's even tell the people about the importance of integrating these kind of technologies we are providing them into their day-to-day activities. I think we can be able to move fast as well, because I think that's what one of the things the fintech have gotten it right, telling the people that they need the fintech. It's not the fintech people that needs them, but the people that this thing needs the fintech this thing solution. Thank you.
Honestly, that would be a big round of applause from my end for you, and it's really did justice, in complimenting what I said. So yeah, perfect response as well. Teosi, can you articulate what you wanted to ask? Okay. Okay, so a question here is there a current system or technology in Nigeria? Okay, is there a current system or technology that enables people with disabilities to interact with computers? If not, what solutions would you suggest, especially in the context of app usage? Yeah, there are a lot of solutions already, actually. Yeah, there are a lot of solutions actually, and we have them in our phones. And disabilities would depend on what kind of disability you're talking about. If it's somebody who has speech impediment, that's a disability that I probably do not know how that can be done yet. But of course, research could reveal ways on which people with speech impediments could, could use technology better. And but if someone with, for example, bad eyesight, there's a term for it. If somebody who has, bad eyesight, all right, there are systems that I know there are blind people. I have blind friends who actually use mobile phones. They chat with you as if they're not even blind. So perhaps it could be the text to speech feature in mobile phones, that you can basically, your phone can now read out your text, to you, and you can hear. So if you can't see well, at least you can hear well, right? So it depends on the disabilities, that you're talking about. So yes, indeed, I know there are systems and technologies that enables people with disabilities to interact with computers, and they're already in place. But of course, it's not enough. There is still research being done, to help the people that have been excluded, to help them interact with technologies better. But I'm going to hope that's kind of answers the question. There are technologies, yes, but there is still more research that needs to be done to help others that have been excluded from the use of these technologies. Good question. Yeah. So I don't see any more hands, but I must really say thank you to every one of you for listening. And I must also say special thanks to, those who kind of chipped in a thing or two. You were engaged and you also listened. Farouk Ibrahim, okay, I think we'll take Farouk Ibrahim now before I hand it over to Ibetola. You can speak, Mr. Farouk.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Azeem, for the wonderful presentation. And also, I want to appreciate the contribution of everyone who asked questions here today, and those who contributed with very meaningful answers and suggestions. However, I have one or two things to chip in. It's not in form of question, and I'm not trying to answer any question that has been asked, but I just want to point out one or two observations, and perhaps it would help us with the right direction to view things. By design, I didn't plan to join this meeting. However, after spending a reasonable amount of minutes here, it's not a waste of my time at all. And I'm happy that I joined this. I've learned a lot, and then I've gotten better insights compared to what I used to have before. So let me pick it from the presenter, Mr. Azeem. I think the gold mine of your presentation today, as far as I am concerned, is the fact that we need to see things from a very different perspective when it comes to Africa. So the fact that, and it's very obvious, and that's just the simple truth. What we try to do today is we try to import innovations the way they are being used here, not putting in consideration that we have a very different terrain. We have very, very different culture compared to what it is here in the Western world. So I would be lying to you if I say that before now I used to put this in perspective. So this is a very, very big insight. In fact, that's the gold mine of this presentation. So thank you so much for that. I know that a lot of us might really not understand the importance of what I just said now, except if you've seen like if you've seen a bit of two different worlds, then you'll be able to compare. So yes, so thank you for that. However, the second observation I have is, okay, we we've gotten fantabulous observations, solutions to problems. People are ready to build. People know what to build. People know what people need in Nigeria. So someone actually spoke about not just the human computer interaction when it comes to digital products, but also hardware products. Particularly, I'm an hardware guy. I deal with robots. So when this person actually spoke about this, it struck me, and I was like, wow, that's really true. We cannot exactly implement everything everything that is being implemented in the West, in Nigeria. It's not going to work. We have different culture. People react to things differently compared to here. So I was thinking in my head that, okay, what's the solution now? Now everyone is bringing solution, but at the end of the day, we are still stuck somewhere, and where we are stuck is we still cannot like take a leap forward. So it comes back to the government, and it comes back to what the society is willing to give. So, and if we go into that discussion now, the society, the government, the schools, what are the schools giving us? Like, do we have that platform? Do we have that opportunity to actually implement these ideas? The answer is no, we do not have. So, is there any point having this discussion in the first place? Because I can tell you that this type of discussions are going on in thousands of places in Nigeria at the moment, or a different part of the world. But we have solutions. Some people have very nice master plans. They've had this for close to a decade now, or more than a decade, but we still do not have any solution. So I think we would probably need to take a shift away from, okay, this we have see, to be very honest with you, people are brilliant, and this program actually opened my mind to it. See the way people are giving very nice ideas. I mean, myself 4 or 5 years ago, I don't think I can meet or match this very nice intelligence that I saw on this program today. No, I was like, wow. So I want you to shine over you, to remote by. Okay, but pẹ̀lú gbogbo ẹ̀, ibo la já sí. One brother was talking about automating some engines that are being used for these grinding machines, welding machines. Very nice ideas. But okay, do we have the electricity? No. Do we have the raw materials? No. Do we have the support from the society? Let's not even talk about the government now. No, not to talk of the government. And if you leave out your time you're supposed to study or go and hustle for your daily 2K, you are trying to fix how to press one button. But people tell you you don't know what is wrong with you, because you eventually go hungry in the night or later in the day. So I think I do not have a solution to this problem. I'm only stating it, and I'm trying to see if I can gyrate our minds to think in another way. So perhaps people who brought very nice solutions or made very nice contributions can also think better than me now. That is just like trying to open our eyes to what problem. However, I have one belief. That's my watchword, and it has gotten me this far. When you're supposed to hand me something, I need an handout from you, or you are supposed, that's what you're supposed to do for me, and you do not hand something out to me, I have to get it whatever way I need to get it. So I think that is our situation now, like in Nigeria. Even if the government can't help us, even if the society, if the community, if the upper class doesn't care about these things, because all this technological advancements, these things we are clamoring for, some people have access to them. You can have breakfast. They can have breakfast in Lagos and go and have lunch somewhere else in another part of the world, I tell you. So They do not see any. I'm sorry that I'm taking too much time. Yes, I know I'm taking too much time, but that's just the essence. That's just the essence. Sorry, of what I am trying to say is like I would appreciate if we can have maybe on another program or something, we can have another discussion around, implementing these solutions, these very brilliant ideas that has been put forward today. So I'm sorry that I took too much of your time talking. Sometimes I get very emotional when it comes to stuff like this. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I want to thank the organizers of this program. This is something big, and this is not a waste of time and waste of effort. So thank you so much.
Mr. Azeem, it seems we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So
All right. Thank you.
I really this is going to be the last thing I will address. What Mr. Farouk just said. So actually, fine. You mentioned that fine. We have all these good ideas, but is it worthy to have discussions like this when there is no way to bring all these ideas to life? But the thing about HCI is that we follow one framework, and this framework is called FINER. FINER. F means feasible, I means interesting, N means novel, E means ethical, and R means relevant. So, which means whatever research you're doing or whatever solution you're trying to bring out, it must fit the FINER framework. And for your concern, I think it's mostly related to the feasible. That can it be realistically done? Consider the sample size. Usually, like in research, we see sample size, time, resource. But in designing technologies, consider the people, the resource available, the expertise, and the access to data. Right. So there will be constraints. Any application or any design and research you want to do, there will be constraints. Could be time constraints, could be political constraints, could be anything constraints, right? But it still doesn't mean that there aren't ways to, there aren't solutions to problems. So that's why HCI is there, right? To bring out solutions that are, that are under our control, that are FINER, that are feasible, interesting to do, novel, ethical, and relevant. So, and trust me, there will always be when you make research. So I just really hope that kind of addressed your concern a little bit. But of course, it's a discussion to have for maybe another webinar, God willing. So, but thank you very much for bringing that in. And yeah, that would be me. Ending this. If you want to join ACM, please, there is already a chat. There is already a link in this chat. You can check it out. Or if you want to check us out on Instagram, we have the Instagram handle here and on LinkedIn too. If you want to learn more about me as well, which is the tutor, this is my handle here as well. And saying that, I will hand it over now to Mr. Wetola.
So thank you very much for that insightful conversation, and thank you very much for everyone that contributed to it. Really appreciate your contribution, Mr. Farouk. I think in addition to that is that, yeah, they would, just like Mr. Azeem said, there will definitely be constraints. But the fact that there is going to be challenges doesn't mean we should not at least try and do something. So it might not be as big as you think, but the little you can do, you contribute to it. And I think that's where we come in by reinventing the wheel. Oh, we changed a lot of things that we go in this direction before. So we need people that can rise up, and think in another perspective to change things. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Please kindly check the chat. If you want to join our community, you click the link and join our community. We'll be having conversations like these every month. So there are a lot of things that we have in store for us. And I know somebody might even be wondering or are trying to ask about AI. AI is talking, so we'll get to that soon also. So it's been an amazing time together, everyone. And please, no. Yeah, totally understandable, Mr. Farouk. No, we appreciate contributions like this because we are not just a group of designers. We are developers too, researchers, academicians, and practitioners. That is the beauty of it, diversification. We have different perspective of view. So when we come together, we bring things together. So it's really amazing. Thank you very much for that perspective. Really appreciate. So please click on the link, join our community. If you have not joined our community, and looking forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Also, do well to invite your friends. It's not just a community of designers or practitioners, academicians, people in academics, and all those. So thank you very much. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and on X. Also, you can follow our guests also. So it's been an amazing time together. Good evening, everyone, and have a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very
We can
much,
continue
guys.
the conversation on the group. We can continue the conversation on the group.
Farouk should
It'll be
join.
amazing.
Everyone has to join. Everyone can join the team, by the way. It's open to everyone. So
Yes.
then we'll have other webinars, and you can even be one of those who would lead our next discussions, possibly. So that's the beauty of it. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.